we saw in the state visit. They certainly produced a full bells and whistles tour for him to massage his ego, which is part of what have to do. You've got to make him feel that he is the number one. And I think the king knows how to play his part, in this respect, because let's be honest, the role of the monarchy, particularly on visits, is the kind of soft power, whether it be a state visit coming to this country or going overseas. Now, what politicians may accompany the king, that remains to be seen.
Let's get into our top story then, shall we? Because the royal family is preparing to make 2 trips to America next year as Britain looks to cement a new trading relationship between the US and the UK. The charm offensive would involve King Charles heading to the US, the first visit by a reigning monarch since Queen Elizabeth accepted an invitation from George W. Bush in 2007. The Prince of Wales, he's also expected to make a trip across the pond too. That'll be for the World Cup, which takes place next summer. Let's speak with royal correspondent Rupert Bell. Rupert, great to speak to you.
Morning, Rick.
Let's just take a look at the key aim here, because this is ultimate soft power, but there is some big bit of politics to get done with this tech deal that's gone astray.
Yes, well, the relationship with President Trump, he's a great advocate for the royal family, and that almost has given, Keir Starmer a bit of an advantage in that respect. But obviously, behind the scenes, the political temperature between the two may be still poles apart. But in terms of the event next year, of course, it is celebrating 250 years since the independence of America in 1776 from Britain, George III, the monarch at the time. So I suppose there will be celebrations within America celebrating the fact of 250 years of independence. So it's a landmark for Americans. And for the king to go, and they're saying in April, seems appropriate. For the Prince of Wales to go, well, in terms of him, he's got an open goal because it's the World Cup and he's president of the Football Association. So it is easy probably for him to put that. We know he's a huge football fan, and in his role as the president of the FA, it would be likely that he would go wherever the World Cup was being staged. But obviously there may be extra significance around July the 4th, because the World Cup will be going on at that stage, that he might be in some part of the States to celebrate and sort of acknowledge the independence of America from Britain from 1776.
Well, it might be that Prince William is one of the only England fans who's actually in the stadium because the ticket prices are so expensive. But
that's another story, Rick.
I wonder what you make of the relationship between the King and President Trump. Do you think they get on?
Well, it's on the surface, it looks like they do. And presumably, President Trump, he loves all the trimmings of the royal family, as we saw in the state visit. They certainly produced a full bells and whistles tour for him to massage his ego, which is part of what have to do. You've got to make him feel that he is the number one. And I think the king knows how to play his part, in this respect, because let's be honest, the role of the monarchy, particularly on visits, is the kind of soft power, whether it be a state visit coming to this country or going overseas. Now, what politicians may accompany the king, that remains to be seen. But Keir Starmer, we know he's an Arsenal football fan, so he might want to go over to the World Cup. If he's still in power, then that may be another debate for another part of the programme. But you know what I mean? Yeah. He loves his football. He might go over. The king to go in April, that again, there will be some very important soft power ramifications. They're talking Yvette Cooper as the foreign secretary. It would be normal for someone like that to accompany the monarch on a state visit. But will Keir Starmer go? That again is something that may have to be worked out. But it does show what the royal family is about, is their soft power, and still an important part of helping governments negotiate whatever they are trying to do with whichever country it is.
Rupert, what do you make of this in the wider context of royals in America and the United States? We're talking about the King and the Prince of Wales here, but what about the Queen and the Duchess and the Princess of Wales? How much of a role could they play in these visits?
Well, I think the Princess of Wales, if she was to go over, again, would provide a little bit of stardust because the royal family and the Queen as well, but in a more traditional sense, and would be expected to accompany the King on that state visit. For the Prince of Wales, if he's primarily going in his role as president of the FA, it might be different. But for the Princess of Wales to accompany him on that visit. But if it's a full-blown sort of around the independence, then it might be something that actually would be very appropriate. And because we know she brings a certain amount of, star quality to the proceedings,
Yeah.
and is very much appreciated from that respect. It might rattle a few people in California, but
Well,
and if you see what I'm getting at
well,
there,
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you. Do you think there's a potential there for reconciliation between father and son? Any chance of a meet up with Prince Harry?
Well, depends where he is and their diaries. I'm sure, again, what the king doesn't want these meetings to do is overshadow what the royal family are doing. Because any time, as we see at Christmas, even, the headlines around the walk at Sandringham, the talk was about who's missing, who's there, but it's not necessarily about the royal family doing a sort of traditional semi-private public function as they do, but it was all about the subplot. So even if the king goes to California, to America, I'm not sure he wants sort of will they, won't they meetings to be part of the narrative, because he knows it's his primary function
Yeah.
to promote Britain on a global stage. A family soap opera element is something that he wouldn't want.
Rupert, always good to speak to you. Rupert Bell, the royal correspondent, joining us. And we'll get a US take on the King's visit to the United States with Carla Sands, the former ambassador to Denmark under President Trump, shortly. So do stick around for that, because she's got a very interesting take on one element that Rupert was talking about there, about the female element to this visit and how popular the Princess of Wales and actually Queen Camilla is in the United States as well.
Thank you very much, everybody. Well, it's a great gentleman and a great king.